Woke-ism is so infectious because it fills the religion-shaped hole in people's lives. True.
Mhm.
What if...
I like that way of putting it, actually. So,
the question, can I just read the rest of the
Sure.
question first? What if the best way to prevail over it is to come up with a new religion-shaped thing? Can you think of some tenets to base it on?
Again, I think you've nailed the phenomenon exactly, right? It's the religion-shaped hole. And the problem is people who notice that there is a religion-shaped hole in general in people when they lack a religion often come up with the idea that we need to create one, which we don't. But the idea that one has to come up with something that conforms to those constraints is probably right.
Well, and I like the framing too in the second part of the question, a religion-shaped thing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's exactly the right idea. Right.
Yeah.
So in some sense, and we advocate for something like this in our book, not with respect to religion, but the idea that there are certain human needs that exist as that they are wired into us in a way that we cannot just simply wish them away, even if we wanted to, right? Jealousy is actually a good example of this, right? Jealousy is deeply built in, and the wisest people in the polyamorous community recognize that working around that thing is a huge struggle, and we can debate whether or not it's worth it, but the point is you can't wish away the jealousy just because it doesn't make any sense in 2020 maybe.
Or because you find it unfair.
Right. It's there. So the question is, how can you work around the constraint? And there are lots of places where this is what we have to do. We have to recognize what kind of animal we are. We may be living in novel circumstances where that thing that we once were is a bad match, but you have to, Jim Rutt is fond of saying that no system predicated on a new man is viable, right?
Yeah.
That there are lots of people who want to rebuild humans so that they can live in some better way. And the point is, now, anytime you do that, you've just told us you don't know how to build the system. So
no, and that's the other place where that shows up in a more common form for probably everyone has heard, like when you're getting into a relationship with someone, if what you imagine, if you really like them, except they really need to change in order to conform to anything you're going to be able to live with. Like, no, it's not that people can't change, but if having functionality requires that change will happen in some way that you have in your head, you can't expect that it will be functional.
Yeah.
And so just to say, Jim Rutt, who many viewers, in this case just viewers, will be familiar with, but he, along with Jordan Hall, who we earlier had a question that included, and you were sort of a substantial part of the Game B group that was talking about things like Jubilee as possible responses to...
Right. So we were talking about how to build a system that would replace this one, would preserve its values and not suffer its harms and unintended consequences. And so we spent a lot of time, and basically the ability to say, look, anything that depends on us being different than we are is not worth talking about, right? We are what we are, and then you have to build a system that works for that. So yes, the religion-shaped hole is the point. So well done.